So KATSEYE is in hot water and it's not looking good. And today we'll be getting into all of that, from Manon allegedly leaving the group or taking a forced hiatus, to Danielas' dad causing an absolute scandal in the comment section. With all that being said, let's get into it. So as everyone knows by now, Manon from KATSEYE is taking a hiatus, and this has led a lot of people to think that she is permanently leaving the group. Now, I don't think so, but I hope that she does. Not because I am against the idea of Manon being part of the group for the lazy and selfish accusations, but mostly because I think this is good for her mental health and how the fan base isn't exactly the most comforting towards this group. Also, another thing I want to add is that Manon is mostly left in the background. Since Popstar Academy, with their first song debut, she has been dancing in the back the entire time. And as the girls change position, she's mostly like in the back, doesn't get too much of her spotlight moments. And another thing I noticed with the songs is that she doesn't get to sing as much as the other girls do. Now, okay, she has a lot of vocal talent for, like, I believe smooth soul R&B, but I do feel like for certain songs, she should have a moment to shine in those areas, but she does not. It's almost like she's an extra within, the five main stars. And that's not okay because she's part of the group. She is a singer, she's a dancer, and she is an artist. So I don't know why she's not being represented as much. And especially being a half black girl or mixed girl, the racism is even worse because it is sometimes targeted towards her being half black or mixed, and sometimes targeted between her just being dark-skinned in general, which is not okay, and is something that as a fandom, as a community, why are we doing this? Why take your racism somewhere else? Keep it at the front door. Don't bring it here. Okay? Especially with the parasocialness, because it's not making it any better. Anyways, so I think this would be good for Manon, but she can do whatever she wants. But I just want to read something that she said to The Cut about the racism that she has been receiving recently. So let's take a look at that. So she says, being called lazy, especially as a black girl, is not fair. Now I feel like I always need to put in extra work to prove something, even though I really don't. This is what she said to The Cut. Now, she mentions that because of how the fan base treats Manon, especially calling her lazy and selfish, I see how people would think that, but I feel like, I don't feel like she would have gotten this far into the group if she wasn't putting her absolute best. So I do believe that she has been working hard, and it's not fair on her. Now, in pop culture, especially within girl groups, especially within global girl groups, there has been a common pattern with girl groups like Lil Mix and, Fifth Harmony. These girl groups have girls who are darker skinned, who are associated within the black community, have been heavily criticized, heavily bullied. Their experiences were traumatic. I don't know if it's because they are a different race, if they are just not Asian, but especially with how they are treated, I feel like this is happening the same with Manon. People being racist towards you, having to constantly take breaks. The reason she has been taking breaks in her entire career of being in KATSEYE is injury, and also because she just couldn't be there. She needed to get her mind in the zone when she came back out there. But another thing is that you have to realize that her mental state and her body is not completely trained to withstand such circumstances. You have to understand that these girls before Manon came here are much more trained, have been in the academy much longer than Manon has. So when you see Manon taking breaks for herself, that is a really big step, and I am so proud of her for doing that. And if you see Manon just getting injured and she couldn't be there, don't criticize her. Her body may just not be used to that. Sure, she may have been trained for as long as other people have been trained, not as long, but as the other half of the training sessions of the academy. She still isn't trained to the point where it's I can withstand all of this. I can withstand, so many hours of dancing and singing and constant smiling and, being on point throughout the whole concert, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm sure she's getting trained behind the scenes still. K-pop idols, I believe they do still get trained to some extent when practicing for new songs or before concerts. But still, her body needs to get used to this stuff, which may take a longer time. But in order for her, because she's still in the spotlight, she needs to kind of, get a little stronger, get a little tougher, and be able to. And I hope this break gives her the mental space that she needs so that she can move on with a clear head. Now let's move on to the next topic. Just kind of like saying that, certain things that may come across as, nice and supportive to other people, but mean and judgmental to others. Now, I'm just going to read some of these to you guys and let you guys see what Danielas' dad has been saying in the comment section. So as you can see with the little snippets and, pictures of the comment section that Danielas' dad has been sending, you can see that on the last one of those things, there was a post that says, which is better, Daniela or Lisa? Lisa is part of the K-pop group Blackpink, which is globally known and extremely popular within the K-pop space. Now, Danielas' dad went down in the comments, and as you can see from what I said earlier, he said that Latina girls just have an advantage over Asian girls and that, Danielas' hips cannot be touched. I don't know if that was intended to be a supportive comment towards his daughter, but I do believe that in a space where everybody is following your every move and just you're in the spotlight all the time, even if you are not directly involved with the group, you are still, Danielas' dad, and you should be staying out of the way and just giving her supportive comments without always having a ulterior motive behind it. Just be there for your daughter behind the scenes and don't get involved, because right now your involvement is not helping anyone or the situation. So this is obviously a stereotype towards Latinas, because not all Latinas can dance really good. And especially when he mentioned directly Latina girls, it's like, are you saying Latinos can't dance either? So this can come across as very stereotypical, and I feel like you should know that is stereotypical because you are Danielas' father and you come from a Hispanic Latina background. So making that statement kind of confuses me, because while you're supporting your daughter, you're also putting others down, which also puts you in boiling hot water. Danielas' dad is definitely making it worse for people, and definitely making it worse for Daniela and the group, which also makes Daniela the target for more bullying and more criticism. But with that being said, let's move on to the next topic. So guys, if you remember what happened with Little Mix, this might feel familiar. Back in 2020, Jessie Nelson left the group Little Mix because her mental health was suffering, and that's understandable. And everything seemed peaceful at first. But then she released a song called Boys with Nicki Minaj. And then she was suddenly accused of blackfishing, saying her imaging was too heavily borrowed from Black culture. And after that, a girl from the group who had personal feelings about being underappreciated or just not shown enough within the group Little Mix, Leah Ann Pinnock, privately had a discussion with Jessie and said that, hey, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about the blackfishing and stuff like that. And, well, guess what happened? Jessie Nelson turned on her. And after that, Nicki Minaj went live defending Jessie and calling Leah Ann out. And after that, they unfollowed each other. No reconciliation, no follow-up, nothing. Later, Leah Ann released her own documentary called Leah Ann, Race, Pop, and Power, where she spoke about being the only dark-skinned girl in a global girl group and feeling overlooked. Now, let's fast forward to Manon. When Manon started receiving backlash, something subtle happened. Manon, Normani from Fifth Harmony, and Leah Ann all followed each other within hours. And if you know the history behind these girls, you know that this wasn't random. Normani has spoken about feeling sidelined in Fifth Harmony. Leah Ann has spoken about racism in Lil Mix. So when Manon started getting targeted, it felt less like a coincidence, but more like comfort and solidarity. Less like coincidence. And it wasn't loud nor dramatic. It was just like, we see you and we got you. So with all that being said, I really want to know you guys' opinion on the Manon hiatus and Danielas' dad's situation. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think of the whole situation in the comments. Is there something that I haven't mentioned that you would like me to mention in another video? Is there some insight that you have that you would love to share? Please put that down below in the comments. I would love to hear it. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!